Okay, so what we're doing now is we're doing both lens tests and picture profile tests. Okay, so we're choosing between, don't know if you can see this, Cinestyle, VisionTek, and C-Log. And we're also playing with an anamorphic filter, a wide angle adapter, and eventually an ND filter. So this is what we're doing, and we're doing this in the garden, and we plan to go to Shotover later to do some location scouting, but we're doing this now so that I know what kind of kit to bring, so we don't need to do all these complicated and fiddly tests up there. Okay, so I'm going to look through all the footage that I recorded today, all of the test footage. I'm just going to import this into my editor over here. And as you can see here, I have different signs which say what is going on in the camera. So for example, this one here is Cinestyle. This is the picture profile. This says there's a neutral density filter on the camera. There's also a wide angle adapter and an anamorphic filter. And we've done everything from very little. This is not a good example of very little. Okay, this is a good example of very little. So I've only got the lens on the camera and I'm using VisionTek profile, and this is the bare bones. But then we build it up all the way to put extra things on the camera to see if the camera still sort of maintains an acceptable quality, because as you put more glass on the end of your camera, the less sharp and the less contrasty the image will be. And I'm just here to see if I can color correct that, and because we're going for a very indie look anyway, so I'm sure that'll be fine, but just making sure it doesn't go too far. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to order all these files from simplest to most complex, and then I'll start to color grade them. Okay, so what I've set up this test, the way I've set up this test is I shot in 3 profile pictures: Cinestyle, VisionTek, and C-Log. Now, the reason that Cinestyle and C-Log look so awful is they're flat picture profiles, which means that they retain lots of details in the shadows and the highlights, theoretically. But I shot with VisionTek, which obviously looks much nicer because this picture profile does not require color grading. So this is a really nice, kind of well-rounded image. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and grade Cinestyle and C-Log to make them look as much like VisionTek as possible. So let's do that now. I'm going to add 2 instances of color curves. I'm going to add color corrector and secondary color corrector. I'm also going to add a little bit of unsharp mask, just subtly, because I like doing that. Okay, so here we can play with the contrast levels a bit. So I'm just going to crush the blacks in this image, and the highlights aren't blowing out particularly, so I'm just going to do it here. I do this by eye because this program doesn't actually have scopes or anything, but Final Cut Pro does, which is what I will hopefully be using. It is more green in the mid-rows, so let's put it there. Take some red out of the shadows, see that effect. A little more in the shadows actually as well. Oops. Okay, so let's increase the saturation, because saturation has a lot of nice setting. So matching. Okay, I'm going to bring the shadows down, so the old turns down straight there. There's no yellow in this image, so let's move away from yellow that way. Yellow is also present. Here, take some red out, still nice and blue does. Still not too much below the highlights, so keep down this. The highlights, so get slightly bluer. So I have this now to somewhere, where I'm happy. This excuse me. This is Cinestyle. This is VisionTek, and this is C-Log. Now I just sort of vaguely tried to match them. haven't spent very long on it, and I'm sure I could get them a little bit closer if I wanted to, but this is just to make them sort of match. Maybe it needs to be a bit more red in the Cinestyle, but regardless, this is what I'm going with. And so these are 3 different looks, and there is more leeway with Cinestyle and C-Log for color grading and color correcting. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste these adjustments. Just to remind you, I've done nothing to the VisionTek, and I have done some color correction to both of the flat picture profiles. I'm going to apply these to all of these other tests and basically just see what they look like. I won't do too much finessing to get them to individually look right, because I know that there is the leeway or the latitude for that later on. I must admit, I am quite surprised by the results. The cleanest image, I think, is VisionTek with nothing on the lens. That's quite unsurprising. But as a sort of final image, my favourite personally is, surprising, Cinestyle with an anamorphic filter and a neutral density filter. Now, the neutral density filter, isn't supposed to change the image other than make it darker. This allows us to open up the aperture all the way to f1.7 on this lens and f1.4 on another lens to make sure the background is shallow, so a shallow depth of field. But because it's a cheaper neutral density filter or an ND filter, the glass isn't the highest quality, and so there is some green color cast. However, I quite like that about this image. Obviously we could add that in post if we wanted to, but for me the VisionTek is a little bit milky, and that can be adjusted in post-production very easily, and that's not an issue to stop us using VisionTek. And the EOS HD, I find the colours to be a little bit off. This for me is a little bit harder to colour grade because you see these leaves over here. Just look at those leaves. What colour are they in the C-Log versus VisionTek and Cinestyle? So VisionTek and Cinestyle are very similar towards the leaves. Green with a little bit of yellow, whereas with the C-Log it is very yellow. So my conclusion is, for me, my favourite combination of these lenses and filters and picture profiles is Cinestyle with an anamorphic filter and a neutral density filter.